Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 286 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on December 9th, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing today? Yeah, I hope you're doing well. Things are really good on this end, except it gets dark so early. Man, it's like, kind of sucks you run out of daytime. Days are short, but yeah, that's one thing I don't like about this time of year, but literally everything else is awesome. Best holidays. Christmas is almost here. Wrapping up work, vacation is in sight. So yeah, I get pretty jazzed by this point. We have been testing a lot, some really great discoveries, some great research. It's been a very good year, keeps getting better, even deep into the fourth quarter. So yeah, pretty stoked. Special treat for you folks today. By heavy popular demand, since the inception of the Silencer Sound Standard in Pew Science, today we are publishing our SilencerCo Sparrow research report. Yeah, finally, long awaited. Many folks have asked about this over the years. We finally got around to it. This is a historically significant silencer, and I really hope the modern testing and analysis we did for this does it justice. I'm a firm believer that things like this, stuff with high data utility, things that have proliferated through the market for a long time, I think they're very valuable to test for the public, for performance comparisons at the very least. And so here we are. And there's also a really cool hazard map coming with this too. It's going to be neat. You're going to actually get an animated hazard map showing FRP versus the average hazards through the shot string. So it's pretty cool. Some folks were asking for that too. I figured, why not? What better a subject silencer than a SilencerCo Sparrow in which to showcase FRP, right? Those who know. For the past 2 decades, if you've shot a Sparrow, you would know. Okay. Well, let's get on with the show. If you've been here before, welcome back. So glad to have you back. If you're new to the podcast, oh man, you're in for a treat. We're so glad to have you. There are timestamps in the episode description wherever you're listening. It could be YouTube, it could be Spotify, iTunes, on the website, wherever you wherever you get your podcast. You can skip using those timestamps. But first, if you want to hang around with me a little bit longer, I'm going to tell you about the companies who make this podcast possible every week. The first one is Legion Athletics. Nothing you do is worth doing without consistency. Okay, because exercise could be sports, could be math, anything. You have to do things all the time if you want to excel at them. Legion Athletics can help you with that. They have the supplements you need to make sure you can stay consistent. That's the way I think about it. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, vitamins, minerals. Creatine is a big one. They don't have everything you need, but they have quite a lot of it. If you click the link in the show notes to legionathletics.com, you can use the code word PewScience at checkout. It'll get you buy one, get one 50% off on your entire shopping cart. And you can use that code every time and you'll get 20% cash back, which is huge. So you're going to be buying supplements anyway. You might as well save money and help the podcast, okay? Also, the podcast is brought to you by Silencer Shop. They've done a lot for consumers, but they've also done a lot for the industry, for dealers large and small nationwide. If you are a dealer and looking to get started in this space, their kiosk can help you a lot. Do your fingerprints and photos electronically. You cut down on errors, simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's pretty good. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors. Just you and your silencer with no drama. It's really a silencer ownership simplified. Speaking of silencers, did you know that this podcast is also brought to you by Top Gun Range Houston? They're a really great dealer, very knowledgeable staff, very hands-on staff. They have a 15-lane indoor shooting range where you can try out silencers before you buy them. And if you're just feeling frisky and you have a business meeting in Houston, maybe you just want to go shoot some machine guns, you can do that too. All right, yeah, check out their firearm rental inventory at topgunrange.com, and you can also find them on Instagram at topgunrange, where you can harass Kyle, send him some good memes or something. Also, this podcast is brought to you by Capital Armory, a very large dealer in Texas. It's no secret that silencers are in high demand, and its demand's about to skyrocket. Did you know you're going to need options? Also, did you know that Capital Armory can ship silencers directly to your door. That's right. If you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, you can order a silencer in your living room and have it shipped directly to that same living room. It really is that easy. Capital Armory. Finally, this podcast is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. I'm the technical director of the lab. I've somehow chosen to keep doing this for almost 6 years now. We sponsor the podcast. We push forward a public research effort. You get to see stuff like the SilencerCo Sparrow. It's really cool. We're trying to push the silencer industry forward. We want to figure out where we were, where we are, and where we're going, right? That's like the whole gist of all this. We're pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. You can visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest, most accurate hearing-safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's all based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. It's the home of the Silencer Sound Standard. There's 8 sections now. It's cool. Most in-depth and accurate silencer data analysis on the planet. 24/7, 7 days a week, all the time. Wait, no. 24/7, 365. That's what I would say. All available to the public on the internet. Check it out, pewscience.com. You can support the podcast with a membership. You should do that. You can support the all our testing, the laboratory, everything we do with a membership. pewscience.com. Go join. It's super cheap. We haven't increased our prices. It's still like less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and you can really be part of the biggest silencer research ever in the world. It's awesome. Plus, you get to talk to us about silencers. Who doesn't love that? Also, if that's too expensive for you, just spread the word. Rate the podcast, like and subscribe. Be like, what's up? Share it with everybody, and let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. All right, 2 topics. They're going to be quick. First, we're going to hit intro to the Sparrow, long overdue, on the short barrel little Beretta 21A subcompact rimfire pistol. Then I'm going to tell you about the hazard map brief we did with it because it's awesome. Topic 1, at a time of 7 minutes and 13 seconds. All right, check this out. 1 second. Sound Signature Review 6208, the 208th report in the standard. That's not actually true because now we have the hazard map briefs. There's more reports, but it's the 208th report in section 6. SilencerCo Sparrow on the subcompact Beretta 21A Bobcat. Historically significant silencer by popular demand. Long overdue. Did you know that the Sparrow was SilencerCo's first product? And it has enjoyed significant proliferation. Most folks know about its first round pop on short barrels. Do you know? Do you? You should look at the report, if nothing else. I'm so glad we finally got to it. It's so wild. SilencerCo's first product. If you're old like me, and you were around silencers like before SilencerCo, and then you were subsequently around them when SilencerCo launched as a company, you'll remember the Sparrow, obviously. I mean, we all did because that's what literally all they had. Had the red clamshells in it. They had the cool logo on their website. It was nothing. It was just it showed the silencer on the website. There was like a black background. I remember it was like a black background. Yeah, they're like SilencerCo logo, which was like that shield or whatever. It wasn't the one that's they have now, a different logo. It was a whiz bang new company, brand new to the space. AAC and Surefire and SWR and Gemtech, they're all fighting with each other, all slinging mud at each other. You guys, you think that the silencer industry has drama now. It had just as much drama back then. Griffin was there. Already 20 years ago, they were already making people mad left and right. It was a whole thing. It was a good time to be into silencers. It was actually, silencers have been around obviously for a very long time, but that was like really a fun time. And if you're into that stuff, if you're into competition, I guess. And I think it was as good as any a time. As good as right now, actually. I think it was as good as right now. The only difference between then and now is like, I think now we all understand more about how silencers work, and there's more silencers, but that's pretty much it. You know, like, terrible people in the silencer industry are just as terrible now, and wonderful people in the industry are just as wonderful now. You know, the silencers change, and physics doesn't change. You know, companies change, but the people don't. You know, it's funny how all that works, right? It's like you can count on what's constant, what's not, what's a variable and what's constant, right? In humanity, same for silencers or flashlights or night vision or whatever. And so I'm really excited we're publishing this because, man, what a freaking benchmark, right? Like, how many folks have been introduced to suppressed shooting with a SilencerCo Sparrow? Right? Like, so many people. I tell you what, so many. Now, you know, and real quick, let's just talk about the initial climate when the Sparrow was released so you can have some context. I want you to put on your time traveling hat and hearken back to a different time. Hearken back, youngsters, gather around the campfire. Let me hearken back to a different time when you had rimfire silencers coming out from companies that finally began to be user serviceable. User serviceable was a new thing, and there was coming out, and you know, it was around the 2007, 2008 time frame. You know, I was but a young pup. I was just about to leave the DoD, and I was really into centerfire pistol cans, and at the time, and you know, rimfire was cool to me, but I wasn't a really big rimfire junkie. I was more centerfire pistol, and you know, I was talking with my buddies, and we were all looking at these silencers, and one thing folks started to realize was that just because the silencers were serviceable did not mean you could just shoot 1,000 rounds through them without cleaning them. Like that, those two things were not compatible. You know, the baffles and the monocores, they were getting stuck into the dang tubes. It was a thing, and things were seizing up. And I tell you what, good luck getting those things apart to clean them without tools. It was a pain in the butt. Even if they're disassemblable, if they're user serviceable, it was really hard to get them apart. And so folks started coming out with little baffle pusher tools to sell with the silencers. And sometimes they'd include them. Sometimes you could buy them separately. You know, and back, I will say this, back in the day, silencer packages were a little more feature rich. I always likened it to, like, you know, whenever you buy an album at the record store or the CD store or the tape store, however old you are, and you'd get it home and you'd pop it in your stereo and you'd like sit down on your bed listening to the music, looking at the liner notes, like that type of thing. Like, I always felt silencer packages were like kind of like that. And you know, we didn't have e-forms; it was all paper forms, and didn't take too long. It was like, you know, 6 months, 3 to 9 months, depending like what the examiners were doing. And you know, even back then we had our favorite examiners and the nerds. And you know, when you finally got a silencer, it's pretty feature rich. You're like, oh wow, what does it come with? This is so cool. And it was a really niche hobby, like more so than now. And it was common to get like really high quality tools and accessories in the silencers. And the baffle pusher tools were available from, you know, a few companies, like, you know, you had AAC and SWR and you know, Liberty Suppressors down in Georgia. When Dave started making cans down there, he was given like some steel bars you could screw into the core and push them out. It was, you know, it was pretty utilitarian, but definitely usable. You know, pretty much all the enthusiast favorite silencers were getting those tools. And then SilencerCo, they had such a smart idea. You know, they're a startup, you know, brand new company. And I want to say this idea was Mike Pappas's idea, you know, who started SilencerCo, and with Todd. And I think it was his idea to use the clamshells to surround the monocore. And because, you know, the Sparrow core is one piece. It's a monolithic monocore. It was an evolution of the design by Todd McGee, you know, that was on Silencer Talk with all of us. And it got, that monocore got adapted to the Sparrow core that you see now and that we tested, which is cool. And those clamshells, they surround the core. They isolate the core from the tube. So the lead condensate, because like when you shoot 22, it's completely unjacketed, right? And that lead vaporizes. It has a really low melting point, and it condenses on the surface all through the can, all through the silencer, and so the lead condensate that sticks to the core, it sticks to the shells instead of the tube. So when you remove the core from the tube, the shells just slide out because there's no buildup between the shells and the tube. All the buildup is contained within the shells inside the core. It's really cool. This means you can shoot the bejesus out of a Sparrow and still be okay. You're not going to get it stuck. Well, I mean, you could probably do it if you try hard enough. So, it's still gross and caked with lead inside, but at least you can still take it apart. And that was a really big deal. Because you got to imagine, guys, people buying rimfire silencers get them stuck, and then it's a pain in the butt for a company you got to return a silencer, and then they got to fix it, and like, oh, now we got to take this guy's silencer apart for him because he clogged it up with lead. Dude, that's not a fast warranty thing. That sucks. What if you got like 1,000 of those? That'd be a problem, right? So this, I think, benefited the user, it benefited the company, and I don't know. I think it was a cool idea. I think everyone thought at the time it was cool. It was cool. So you and as you can imagine, back then in the day, in a sea of infighting and politicking, much like now, but just with slower internet, tons of curious enthusiasts, just trying to be James Bond. At the end of the day, I think we're all pretty stoked when a new thing like this came to market. And I think that ingenious little tricks like this are just cool. Innovation was really something was hungry for, I think, even more than now. And I do believe this was one of the most pivotal points in the silencer industry. And I do think that SilencerCo is responsible for many more points after that. And there are definitely some details about the who, the what, the where, the when, the how, the good, the bad, the ugly, the uglier. Through all this history, it gets really messy. But no matter who you are, you got to say, at the end of the day, the dust has settled, and SilencerCo is still trucking. The Sparrow's still in production. It's not quite 2 decades later, but it's coming up on it. And so I think that makes this report all the more sweet, in my opinion, because, remember when we published back, I forgot when, but you can look it up on our website. But when we published the AAC M4 2000 Mod 8, remember? Famous silencer, legacy silencer, gone forever in its current form, at least. Gone forever. Never going to be made again. I promise. But the Sparrow, I think, just as famous, if not more famous, than the AAC M4 2000, if you can believe that. Definitely more widely used. And it's still out there, being sold brand new. And, so imagine the dang data utility of this. Like, how how many people we're about to help when we publish this? Like, a significant amount of people. So many people. We're going to help so many people when we publish this. This is the very essence of Pew Science. It's the very essence. It's the whole shebang. Like right here, this is like what we live for. This is how I felt when we... Actually, it harkens back to a time. It's what I felt like when we were about to launch the company publicly, and we launched the Rugged Oculus as our first silencer set of reports on the bolt gun and the pistol at the same time. So cool. This is the pay dirt. It's just so fantastic. And now everybody in the world is going to have relative performance comparisons with the Sparrow. It's very incredible. Now, I just got done talking about so many positive things. So what's the 10,000 pound elephant in the room? That would be the first round pop, right? Those of you who have been in the game, those of you who've been around silencers for as long as the Sparrow has existed, at least, know that the Sparrow is famous for two reasons, right? Clamshells and first round pop. And only one of those two things is cool. I can assure you, on a long barrel, first round pop, not so bad. With, subsonic rimfire FRP on long barrels, that's easy mode. You can suppress that. It's because, remember, it's like those YouTubers from several years ago. How you guys forget. Short memory. Remember the YouTubers from just a few years ago who were doing videos with subsonic 300 blackout on 16-inch barrels with a Vox and calling it Hollywood Quiet? Remember? I remember. Come on, guys. All right. Long barrels, it's cheating. It will fool the consumer. Now, you put a rimfire silencer on a short barrel, like short barrel pistol, and you're going to be in FRP town, USA, population U, and you're a loud silencer. If your silencer can't hang, and sometimes it can't. And boy, can the Sparrow not hang in that situation. And we're going to go into the nitty-gritty technical deep dive next week, as is tradition. But boy, howdy, you're going to hear the Sparrow coming during that first shot. You will hear it. And it's funny because I have the draft of the report open in front of me looking at it right now. It's not published obviously yet, but I I did such a nerd thing, and I used PSOF HD to make you a suppression rating hazard map, right? But then also did one for FRP. So I made an animated GIF. I put in the article like a lunatic. So I'm watching it flash back and forth right now with the contours, and I think I said this during the intro to the episode today. I think of any silencer where this would be appropriate, it would be the Sparrow. Just the dichotomy between the first shot hazards and like the average hazard for personnel, the dichotomy between those two scenarios is so drastic that the contours are frankly entertaining to me. So I made a movie because I wanted to watch it. It has I found this really cool open source GIF maker. It was a command line tool, and I was like playing with it. It's like, oh man, people are so smart. Anyway, it's awesome. So so that's gonna be live in the morning. Tomorrow for me, today for you, 0700 Central. And speaking of these hazard maps, because you know how we do, I'm going to introduce you to that at a time in topic 2 at a time of 22 minutes. 52 seconds. Can't believe you finally got to the Sparrow. What good timing. 1 second. Okay. So topic 2, silencer hazard map brief 8.1.6. Can you believe it's the 6th hazard map brief? It is. So this brief is the SilencerCo Sparrow, obviously on the gun we just talked about. This brief accompanies today's report. It's animated. It allows you to visualize the first round pop, which is one of the Sparrow's pitfalls. And I would pose this question to all of you. Is this surprising? Have you ever shot a Sparrow? What did you hear when you shot it? This is rimfire, so a lot of people shooting without ears. What did you hear when you shot a Sparrow on a pistol? Now, I'm not asking on a rifle, on a pistol. Many of you have, so I'm really interested to hear your feedback. I mean, thousands of people have done this. So now I do want to say, like, for the record, like to set, PewScience is here to set expectations. And I think expectations about silencer performance is one thing. Another set of expectations I want to set is like for us and like what to expect from us. Don't get used to this. Don't get used to these animated movies. Like I just kind of went ham. I'm not always going to do this, or maybe I will. I don't know. I sometimes don't know what I'm going to do the day before. Like you don't, sometimes I'm just like, oh, now we're going to do this. And people are like, my team's like, what'd you say? Like, relax, it's going to be fine. So we coded the capability in PSoft HD to generate hazard maps in general. Like, obviously, you know that. But with a little creativity, you can animate it And when you see the cycling animation of FRP and average risk on a loop, it's like it goes. It's like loud, average, loud, average, loud, average, and like you might get lost in it. And you're like, oh my god, how long have I been watching this loop? It's like, I don't know. Maybe you should snap out of it and keep reading. And what you need to do, and if it's making you sick in your stomach because it keeps moving, you can go to the hazard map brief 8.1.6, and it will have a still image so you don't freak out. You need to pay particular attention to the field changes forward of the shooter, and then to the side, and then to the rear. Okay? This is a learning tool. And you see how when I've been telling you that FRP is a muzzle-driven phenomenon, that most of the hazard increase is projected forward? Remember? Cool, right? It's almost as if what we've been speaking about together for the past 6 years is rooted in reality that you're experiencing. Most of that risk is forward, and that's a really, really good visual illustration of what I mean by muzzle dominance in the physics. Okay, cool. I've been watching this animation. I am so proud of how this turned out. I think this tool is invaluable for helping to explain suppressed small arm hazards to the layman. You can't get any more simple than colors. I think, you got the red is bad, the green is good, and just show it to your kid, and he's going to know, he or she's going to know. You just explain to them first shot and then the average, and they're going to be like, oh, it's loud at first. It's like, that's right, little Johnny or little Susie. It's loud at first. Why does it quiet down? And then you can explain to them why. FRP manifests. And boy, are we going to go into that in great deal in the technical deep dive next episode. Oh, you're in it for a treat. To be clear, when in real life, let's talk real life. Because, these hazard maps is the real you're going to get without shooting them. In real life, if you've shot a sparrow on a pistol, you know what happens during that first shot. You know. And then you also know that it sounds pretty good afterward. It really does. And this is what the map shows. Again, you don't need to know how to read. Red is bad. Green is good. Okay? Learn it, love it, live it. Pew Science. 6208 and 8.1.6 live at 0700 Central. Wednesday. Enjoy it. Share it with the world. Share it with your loved ones. I think that's all I have for you today. Should be short and sweet. Okay, enjoy it. I think we're going to probably help tens of thousands of people with this instantly, and at the very least, it'll explain what people have been hearing for the past 2 decades, and at most, it'll get a significant amount of people into suppressed small arms, and will grow the community and the movement. Okay, I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.